It's time for another episode of Let's Talk Manufacturing South Carolina, featuring interviews with leaders and influencers across a variety of manufacturing disciplines discussing trending topics in the industry. Let's Talk Manufacturing is part of the Let's Talk Business South Carolina network of B2B talk shows and brought to you by the South Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership. And now, coming to you from the Drum Creative Studio, here's your host, longtime South Carolina business publisher, Rick Jenkins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Manufacturing South Carolina. I am your host, Rick Jenkins, and I'm glad to have you here today. As always, our episodes of this show are produced in conjunction with the South Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and as always, they are recorded right here in the Drum Creative Studio. Got another good show for you today, as always, right? We've got four folks that are joining us. First one up is going to be this fellow right here. This is Chris Wayne. He is the Vice President of Growth Services at the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, or SCMEP. But I'm going to get to Chris in just a second. I want to let you know who else is going to join us today. Tom Lawrence is going to be here. He oversees project management at McAlister Design and Automation. That is a manufacturer that's located right here in the Greenville area. And he is going to be joining us virtually as part of a segment that we've been doing for a while now called From the Factory Floor. He'll be at the factory. We'll talk to him and we'll see what's going on over there. And then our featured segment coming up at the end of the show is Carlo White. He is the founder and president of WH Logistics Group. So don't go anywhere. We're going to have a good show today, but we are going to get started with this fella, Chris Wayne, once again, the Vice President of Growth Services at SCMEP. Chris, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It is good to have you here. We've been having a lot of different folks from SCMEP. Andy joins us from time to time, and of course some of your colleagues are here, but it's good to have you here today.
Thanks.
All right, let's get into it. SCMEP, man, you guys, I'm not even going to get into what SCMEP does to any great degree because we talk about it constantly. And the folks that watch this, they know who you guys are. But you offer a ton of solutions and a ton of services. And I want to concentrate on one specific area today, and that's what you all call growth services. And you and I were talking before the show, and there are categories of growth services that you all can help manufacturers with. And I just kind of want to tee you up a little bit and talk about some categories within that category. And let's just see where we go. And so within the growth services category, I want to talk about revenue growth first and foremost. How do folks at SCMEP talk to their manufacturers and assist with just producing good old-fashioned revenue?
Well, it seems like most of our manufacturers are a little bit weak on the sales side of things. They think of themselves as manufacturers, as engineers and technicians, and they tend to want to hand off the marketing to somebody else or the sales to somebody else. And we find that that's not a healthy thing to do in a company, that it leads to blind spots and weak spots that need to be overcome. So one of the things that we do is we offer training in good sales and marketing practices. And the other side of that is we offer consulting to do things that they're either unwilling to do or unable to do.
Right. So you provide guidance, and if they need more than guidance, you can hook them up with, I would assume you have preferred vendors in almost every type of category that you need assistance
yes,
with.
Yes, absolutely.
To come in and work a little closer with it.
Right.
Let's move on to market presence. Let's talk about that a bit.
Market presence for most of our small to medium-sized manufacturers is, for the most part, word of mouth. Their customers obviously know who they are, but they're not widely known beyond that. And so what we try to do is help them build an awareness, specifically an internet awareness, an online awareness, so that people can be drawn to their website, people can learn more about them, go through a period of discovery.
Right. And, when we're talking about manufacturers in South Carolina, we know the BMWs of the world, right? And the Boeings and so forth and so on. But that's not what we're talking about. Those folks, of course, have all the resources they need to handle this type of thing. But there are how many, Chris? 6,000 manufacturers?
Yeah.
About 6,000 manufacturing companies in South Carolina. We're talking the biggest of the big and then extremely small.
Yeah.
What is a sweet spot for you all in terms of helping folks? I know you help the small guys out, but is there some kind of, in terms of revenue or employee size?
The largest of the large, that's not our sweet spot for sure, but we would say small and medium-sized manufacturers. If you were a small manufacturer with a handful of people, we're a good fit for you. If you're a medium-sized manufacturer with, maybe a couple hundred employees, we're a good fit for you. It has less to do with the size of the company than it does the internal capabilities. Because you could have a very small company that's a startup done by people who've worked in larger, more sophisticated organizations, and they're really buttoned up from the beginning. And you can have larger companies that are not as strong as they should be in certain areas. And so size is less of an indicator.
That's a good point. It's probably all about strengths and weaknesses, right? You have people who manage any company and they have a strength and a weakness. And the person running the company, if it's not too big, they may not be strong in marketing,
right,
or sales or whatever. So I get where you're going there. The next thing that you have listed under growth services is portfolio management.
Yeah. So that would refer to product portfolio management. The tendency can be in a lot of companies to, produce a core number of products and then extend into some other things to generate revenue. Oftentimes it's not a good fit. You wouldn't want to make cookies and clothespins. It wouldn't be a good fit, right? So portfolio management is just making sure that things that you are making are profitable and need to be profitable and are a good fit for your market.
And lastly, business performance and security.
Yeah. So from an executive standpoint, there need to be some things that the president, the CEO, the leadership are doing to secure the future of the company. Decisions that have to be made and then executed. And so that's the scope of what we're talking about. It would include succession planning, avoidance of loss, making sure that the business is in good long-term hands, and probably leading to a good, strong strategic plan.
Now, SMEP, what do you guys have? About 30 employees?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And as I mentioned a second ago, and we talked about it on here, you all don't have the number of employees needed to help all these manufacturers in all the ways they need it, that they need help. But you do have a huge Rolodex. And so how does that work? You got a Rolodex, you have vendors in pretty much any area that a manufacturer needs assistance. What do? You go in and you just kind of gauge what they need and try and match up as best you can?
Well, we do the competitiveness review assessment that we do. I also have my own assessments that I do. Now, with growth services, I'm involved in 99% of those projects. From a content standpoint, because I'm a licensed mechanical engineer, I have extensive manufacturing background, and so I am a sort of a bridge between manufacturing and marketing and sales. And so that's kind of what I bring to the mix. But I'm involved from a content standpoint, training standpoint, I'm involved in all of those projects.
Let's go back to marketing for a second, specifically digital marketing. And as we talked before we came on the air, digital marketing, of course, is today's preferred method of sharing a message.
Yeah.
But marketers, and I don't think that I'm saying anything out of line here, I think most of them would agree, and I am painting with a wide brush for sure, but they're not always marketing savvy. I think that's a fair statement. And even though some are, of course, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think of when I think of manufacturing, I don't necessarily always think that they need marketing assistance. It seems that they're making a product, and if someone needs it, then they need it. But they do need, depending on how big they are and what they produce, they do need that marketing assistance. Do you provide that a lot?
We do probably, I'll say, 12 to 15 large-scale marketing projects for clients a year.
Okay.
So that would be 12 to 15 clients at any given time.
Right.
Where we're helping them with marketing. It does two things, okay? Often manufacturers are frustrated with their marketing folks. If they have a third-party marketing agency, they're frustrated. because of lack of results. But there's a lot of stuff in marketing that you can't just hand off to a marketing person or marketing company. As an executive, you have to be the one to define what it is about your company that makes you great, why somebody should be buying from you as opposed to anybody else, what there is that makes you meaningfully unique. And so one of the things that we have to be careful of is to make sure that the executive level is doing a really good job of defining what is going to be marketed.
I want to switch gears here a little bit. We were talking, about the types of things we were going to discuss today, and one of the things that popped up was change management.
Yeah.
And that's something that you all assist with. And when you and I were talking, you pointed out that a lot of projects fail. And sometimes those failures, well, it can be attributed to a lot of different things, but oftentimes it's because the people who are most involved in it are maybe not aware of the things they need to be aware of, or maybe there's just not buy-in, not only amongst them, but of their managers, the middle management. How does SCMEP assist with helping in that regard?
So the whole concept of change management has a sort of a complex history. Traditional project management only focuses on the technical side of projects, cost, schedule, and scope. And you do whatever it takes to hit cost, schedule, and scope. But most projects don't fail because of cost, schedule, and scope. They fail because of the people side of things. Lack of motivation, lack of buy-in, lack of awareness, lack of suitable training, lack of desire to see the change be successful. So the best implementation is to put somebody on a project who is the change specialist or the change management practitioner to work along with the project manager.
So I could think of two ways that at 2 points during a project that you all might come in. One, somebody might realize that, we're getting ready to do this project. We need a little help. Our friends over at SCMEP can help us, and they reach out to you, and you're involved on the front end. But I would imagine that there are lots of times when a project just falls flat on its face, and now all of a sudden they're asking for your help on the back end.
Yeah.
How's that work?
Yeah. Well, so what we bring to the game initially is an assessment. If you suspect that you're having problems related to people, related to culture, there are assessments that we do to help you kind of figure out where you are and how you get out of the mess. So there's a pre-assessment, there are mid-assessments, there are post-assessments that we can do to determine, are people ready for change? And is there maybe in some companies a change fatigue? We live in a time where things are changing so quickly, accelerated change, and we can't hold the change off. We have to have embraced it. We have to learn to live with it. And so, people in manufacturing are suffering lots of times from change fatigue. And what we want to do is be able to assess, are people exhausted from change, and what can be done to kind of bring things back online. So that's all part of what we do.
Right. I'm going to get you out here on this, Chris, and let's talk about another type of issue that sometimes falls flat on its face, and that is a strategic plan.
Yes.
And strategic plans, of course, look a little different than the types of things we're talking about here because, in change management, you're talking middle management and the workers that are actually doing it. But from a strategic plan perspective, we're talking more at the C-level type, right? Vice presidents, people who are really driving change. And sometimes that doesn't always work. And why might that be?
Well, so, if you Google strategic planning, you're probably going to get more negative information than positive, right? Where people say it doesn't work, it's a waste of time. And I think in all truth, in a lot of cases, it is a waste of time because it's poorly implemented. It's not done the way it's supposed to be done. A lot of people will do the mission statement, vision statement, values, frame it, put it in the lobby with the dead plants and think they're done.
Right.
But there's a whole back end of that needs to be done. Critical thinking, real deep analysis of your business, your identity, what the challenges are. That requires somebody from outside yourself to answer those questions, to ask the hard questions, and to prompt and answer. If you don't go to a consultant for that sort of thing, you need a really good, trusted advisor, somebody close who can lead you through those tough questions.
And, regardless of what size project or what you're working on, you always need someone to take ownership.
Amen.
Right. Chris, I appreciate it. That was good stuff.
All right.
I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
Folks, that's Chris Wayne. He is Vice President of Growth Services over at the South Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Now, don't go anywhere because we have one of my favorite segments coming up next. It's called From the Factory Floor. And this is a segment that on every episode we talk to someone on the factory floor to see what's happening. And today we're going to be talking to Tom Lawrence. He oversees project management at McAlister Automation and Design, and we're going to see what's going on. This is a conversation that I had with Tom very recently. Check it out, and we'll be right back. Welcome to From the Factory Floor, which is an ongoing segment on our monthly YouTube podcast, Let's Talk Manufacturing. This segment allows us to spend some quality time with an executive while they are on their plant floor. Today, I'll be joined by Tom Lawrence at McAlister Design and Automation. But before we get to Tom, I do want to give a shout out to our friends at HTI, or Human Technologies Incorporated. They are the presenting sponsor of this segment, and they make it possible for us to bring this valuable content to the state's manufacturing community. HTI began as a professional recruiting firm for auto manufacturers back in 1999, and those partnerships with the state's automotive industry remain true to their core today. However, HTI has grown considerably since then. They are an industrial staffing firm, an executive search firm, and they provide a wide variety of outsourced HR services. So thanks again to HTI for being the presenting sponsor of From the Factory Floor. Now I am joined by Tom Lawrence. Tom oversees project management at McAlister Design and Automation. Tom, welcome to the show. It's good to see you there.
Hi, Rick. Thank you for the invite.
I was in your spot there, your warehouse, I don't know, several months ago, and Josh Diaz, he gave me a little bit of a tour. We walked around. I saw the spot, and I was so impressed with it that I thought, whenever we start this segment, I want you guys to be on here, and here you are. I'm glad to have you, but it's a cool little spot there. Tell me what I'm seeing over your left shoulder.
First of all, it's glad to be here. So behind us, we have our trade show machine. It's a battery packing system where it will take batteries that are manufactured and put them into specific containers or magazines, in which is used by companies that use battery packs. So it's an assembly of batteries into battery packs for an operation.
Got it. And before we go much further, let's just talk about McAlister Design and Automation for a second. Give me, Tom, give me that quick elevator speech. How many employees you got? What's the size of the warehouse? Just all the specifics.
Sure. We have about 27 employees currently, about 32,000 square foot of manufacturing space and office space. And we've been in business since 1992, so we've got 30 plus years of experience. And we also have, we can boast about our customers, repeat customers that come back to us. We specialize in custom automation solutions, and we're a trusted partner for solving the solutions for complex manufacturing jobs.
Tom, I think I'm going to oversimplify here a little bit, but as I understand it, what you guys do is you create, and all this is something that you yourself oversee, you all create miniature product lines there for other manufacturers where you are actually designing a product, building a product right there on your floor as opposed to the actual manufacturer floor. Have I got that right?
Yes, you do, Rick. It's actually a unique process in the industry where we actually use a conceptual design up front. Where customer has an idea for whatever product line or assembly operation that they need. And we go and build custom turnkey automation equipment to satisfy the requirements of the customer. And that debug FAT or factory acceptance test is also on our floor. After that, we do a site acceptance test at the customer's facility when we tear down the equipment and put it back together.
Right. So sometimes I would assume that whatever project the manufacturer needs can be accomplished there on your floor over some period of time, and then Other times you actually tear it down and rebuild it on their floor. It could go either way.
It can go either way. We also do projects where it's a retrofit to existing pieces of equipment on a customer's floor. And we will bring it here, test it out first before we actually send it there to be installed.
Got it. How many production lines, and of course it has to do with how big they are, I understand that, but give me an idea of how many production lines you can have going at one time there.
Depending on the size and the facility, but we can have anywhere from 4 or 5 to maybe 10, 15 projects going on at the same time.
Can you give me an idea of a couple things you're working on right now?
Yeah, actually, we made a one-of-a-kind, unique hairnet machine where it actually assembled the hairnets, took woven material, cut it, put elastic hem in it, and welded it. We also got handling project for cryogenic freezing. We have also panel or partitions being assembled. We have 2 pieces of equipment for that.
I assume, Tom, that you guys work a whole lot with robotics vendors. All that stuff that you've got that is on those lines there, making things happen, have to be robotic driven. Is that correct?
Yes, most of it is all robotic driven. Now, robots definition in itself is a typical, looking at a robot, a 6-axis or 3-axis or 4-axis robot, but also actuators tied together can be considered a robot. So there's different variations, and there's also new technologies that are out that actually combine them together better.
Tom, I'm going to get you out of here on this. I would guess that your job is a pretty big one, because as I think about how this process works, a manufacturer is going to have to come to you and tell you what the problem is. You're going to have to design something. You're going to have to vet it. You're going to have to build it. You're going to have to get buy-in. You're going to have to test it, and so forth and so on. And that's going to take all kinds of different folks, right? You got engineers. You got, I'm sure you said you got about 30 employees there. That is a complicated process, I would assume. Yes?
It's a lot to juggle, but we have an automation project planning process where we go through and kind of steer us in the direction of a life cycle of a project from initiation to closure of the project. And it's kind of unique because each of the disciplines, such as mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and even the mechanical and electrical technicians, have procedures and a process step that they flow through to make sure that we uniformly get a piece of equipment out with good quality and standards.
Tom, that is great stuff. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes today.
Yeah, no problem.
Folks, that is Tom Lawrence. He is the manager of project management at McAlister Design and Automation. Don't go anywhere, though, because we're going to be right back with the Let's Talk Manufacturing episode coming right up.
I bet you want a website that drums up business. You see, every business wants to have an effective online presence that helps their business grow. We guide you through our process that will drive results by clarifying your message with a beautiful design that's strategically optimized for search. Stop wasting your time and money on an ineffective website and let us help you drum up business by designing a website that speaks to your audience and delivers results.
Welcome back, everyone, to Let's Talk Manufacturing. On our last episode, I spent some time discussing the logistics industry with Amy Sartain. She's the director of South Carolina Logistics at the Council on Competitiveness. Amy and I talked about the impact that the logistics industry has on the state's economy, and it's big, $48 billion. You can check out that interview with Amy on our YouTube channel. We'll probably even have the link up here somewhere. Today, I want to continue the conversation about the industry and talk about a variety of technology trends that is driving plenty of opportunity. And here to help me with that conversation is Carlo White. Carlo is the owner and the president of WH Logistics Group, a South Carolina-based trucking company doing business in 48 states, sir.
Yes, sir.
Carlo, how are you?
Doing great, doing great. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, Carlo, you and I, we met a week ago. You were on another episode of Let's Talk Business. You and your brother James came in and we had a nice conversation about entrepreneurship and the types of things you guys are doing. So it is good to see you again. But this time, we're going to be talking about the logistics industry, and you've been in it a while. How long have you had WH Trucking?
9 years.
9 years, okay. And before that, you were doing something else. You were in the insurance company
That's
for a
right.
while. You've done a little bit of everything.
Yes,
So
I'm a true entrepreneur by heart. I consider entrepreneurship as solving problems for a profit.
yeah.
And I saw a problem in the logistics space that I felt I was uniquely qualified to solve. And that's what led me into logistics. Everyone asks, how do you lead banking, financial sector into transportation? And it's just simply saw a problem and thought I was uniquely qualified to solve it.
Well, let's talk about the company. Again, WH Logistics Group. You're primarily a trucking company, even though you do have a little bit of warehousing. Give me that elevator speech. Tell us about it.
Well, our mission at White House Logistics Group is to create opportunities by profitably managing our clients' freight safely, securely, and satisfactorily. Key points. Opportunity. Our opportunity that we try to focus on is always three-way focus. Create opportunities for our colleagues, our clients, and our community. And so that's kind of the mission that we're on. We are a values and a value-based organization. Our values are integrity first, service above self, and excellence in all we do. Those are our values. Now, we consider ourselves a value-based because we consider that we are the best value in the industry. We'll never be the cheapest and we'll never be the most expensive, but we do believe that there is no one else in the industry that can provide the level of service we provide at the rates that we're able to provide it at.
Well, I love it. I can tell that elevator speech comes from your heart, and you pushed it out nicely. Good job. You talk about the rates that you provide. Let's talk about rates for a second. Interest rates up, fuel wages or fuel is up, driver wages are up. That hurts your rate, of course. How is it impacting a company like you guys?
It has impacted us. Actually, I'm going to say from a positive perspective. Last year was the toughest year we've had since we've been. 2023 was tough on us from a bottom line standpoint. And so 2024, we have this saying in 24, we're in operation, never letting 2023 ever happen again to our company.
Yeah.
What happened in 2023 is we went through an acquisition. We merged two companies together. And to your point, interest rates went up on our equipment. Driver pay we had to stay competitive and go up on that. And at the same time, rates in the industry were going down. And so suppliers were coming and doing bids and wanting us to stay with the market and lower our rates. And the two were a mismatch. The only way we were able to survive is one, through data. We'll talk about that. Data analytics, we're talking about that. And so we were able to take a scalpel and cut some of the non-profitable lanes we were running. But then also other expense measures we were able to do to manage expense. I say it impacted us in a positive way. 2023, while it was negative, it's like one of those things, only the strong survive. Either you're going to learn how to expense manage and build in a model that it can actually flex with rates, because that's just the industry we're in. And it helped us practice that mechanism of just really getting very tuned into our expense model so that we can continue to increase our value and offer a better product and better service to the client. So ultimately, long term, we're going to be stronger for it. Temporary weakened us, but now, to give you an example, coming out of 2023, 2024, we post our best quarter in the history of our company.
There you go.
And it's simply not because rates have gone up, because rates are still the same. It's because, one, we have a bigger company now because we just went through a major merger. But then two, we have so managed our expenses that now we're back in the black making.
You were able to streamline and find those efficiencies. You know, a lot of us did that, especially folks like in your industry and similar industries, back in March of 2020 when a thing called COVID hit.
Yes.
Right? In the supply chain. We didn't even know what supply chain meant back then, right? Or at least general folks, right? And all of a sudden we became aware of a supply chain. But in the wake of COVID, it seems like a lot of companies, and I'm sure like yours, they realized we can't let this happen again. We got to figure it out. Technology started becoming a bigger part of business in general. And what do you know? And we're going to talk about all that technology now. All of a sudden, they learned how to create those efficiencies. And that's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Using everything at your disposal to, because it's all about, I say like it's about having the right people, the right cheeks in the right seats that are willing to solve problems, because this whole thing is about solving problems at a profit, but then creating processes that can create and maintain those problem-solving mechanisms that you put in place.
Right.
And so that's kind of what we've been working on and really grinding on, and it is proven in the numbers, the lag indicators, the numbers that are starting to follow.
The right cheeks and the right seats.
Everybody needs it.
I love it, man. I love it. So let's get into the tech stuff. Every person that comes in and sits down with me, or almost every person, man, we're talking about artificial intelligence and how it is impacting their industry. And I've talked to folks in every single industry, it seems, and it is there. So artificial intelligence, things like that, and robotics, how is this impacting your industry?
So it's having a major impact. I'm going to give you a way it's impacting our company to the good. We use a system called Samsara, which is a data analytics system that we put in the truck, and it gives us all types of data. It just shoots all the way to the safety. Part of our mission is to create opportunities profitably by safely, securely, and satisfactorily to safety. It reports to us when a driver is braking too hard, when a driver is turning the curve, or a driver's not wearing their seatbelt. It's reporting all this data. But another thing it does with the artificial intelligence is it can read their eyes. And if they're blinked too much, it can start telling them distracted driver or sleepy driver. Right. And so it sends a message back to us, and we can get on the phone and say, how you doing? We can check in with them. And how you doing? Is there anything, need to pull over, take a break? I mean, but that artificial intelligence is giving us such real-time data that we can be way more proactive in managing our business. Right. And so we love it.
Okay, Carlo, let's talk about advanced supply chain management systems. Okay, so you're going to have to help me with this, but as I was preparing for this conversation, I stumbled across this, and it sounded really interesting. So, of course, I wanted to talk to you about it. You know, these are systems, and I'm reading here, that integrate various functions, including inventory management, order processing, and transportation planning into a centralized platform, right? So it gives you pretty much, I think we're talking visibility across the entire supply chain. Are you guys making use of this type of technology?
We are. The system we use is called a transportation management system. The system we use is called McLeod. It's one of the top transportation management systems in the business. And what it allows for everyone to have visibility into where the freight is. And so we plan on the platform, but then we also have EDI, which allows us to accept the tenders, the loads from our clients, but then it automatically reports to our client what stages the freight is in. So when the freight leaves, when the freight arrives to the shipper, it automatically sends a note to the client so that they know where their freight is. When we leave, it automatically sends a note. And what it does as far as efficiencies is, before you have the platform like that, you needed someone full-time calling the client, reporting where their freight is. You needed someone on the other end that will take the call and then notate in the system where the freight is. Right. Well, all of that is taking time away from us problem solving, doing something that could be automated through technology and through a transportation management system. And so these systems are now giving us some time back to where we can continue to focus on solving problems for our clients. The client can continue on focusing on solving problems for their clients while the system does its work and do this automatic reporting to us.
This cannot be, these types of things, this, and then what you said earlier, Samsara, these types of things cannot be inexpensive to implement into your company. Now, of course, you have a return on investment as it comes down the road, but you've got to make an investment on this.
And that's where the rub comes in, and especially in transportation. We just talked about it. All of these costs are going up, but rates are going down. Just so happen, transportation is almost like a commodity. It goes up and down with the market. And there becomes this rub when, for the client, want us to invest in these platforms, need us to invest in these platforms. It helps everybody, but these platforms cost money. So it's hard. That's why I said we'll never be the cheapest. I'm investing too much into platforms, into safety, to try to offer a value that I can't compete with the person who's not making the investment. Right. But The same people that are making investment, we pride ourselves on efficiency, so we feel like we can outcompete. If they're going to offer the same thing we're going to offer, we think we can outcompete with them because we feel like we're doing it more efficiently. And so that's kind of the rub in the industry right now.
Yep.
Not just going to the bottom rate, just because it's the bottom rate from a manufacturing standpoint, but hopefully being able to sift through and find out who's really bringing value. We're going to live and die. We're a value-based business. We're going to live and die based on offering value, and hopefully we're going to live. We're doing pretty good now, and hopefully it'll continue to maintain.
Good stuff. Let's stick with the tech, and we've already been talking about this, on the periphery, but let's get into big data and predictive analytics. And what we're talking about, folks, and a lot of manufacturers that are watching this, you already know, okay? But, we're talking about bringing in tons and tons of data and then parsing it into smaller pieces of data that can then help you be more efficient. And of course, predictive analytics allowing you to take that data and see what's going to be happening coming down the road so you can make better decisions. Now, I've set you up. Tell me about this.
Yes, no. This is actually a phenomenon that separates. When we talk about value, it separates. And actually, to be honest with you, companies my size don't use data like that. The Walmarts, the Amazons,
yes,
they all have changed the industry and pushed out a lot of mom and pops because they have that big data advantage. We at WH Logistics Group, I don't call it big data, we call it small data, but at the end of the day, it's data that we build our company off of. I have a CFO, graduated from Wofford, MBA from Darla Moore in the International School of Business. He's been with our company about 2 years, have absolutely revolutionized our business because he's based everything off of data. And so we have so much data coming to us. We have a system that we run, a proprietary system called Navigate BMS. We built it ourselves. And we have a weekly meeting. And if you see this system that we pull up, it's got more data than you can think of, but we highlight off of it key performance indicators, things we look for lead indicators versus lag indicators. The difference is we're looking for things that can help us change our behavior before we get to the lag, before we get to the monthly report of your revenue, your net profit or your net loss, quarterly, annually. Weekly, we're looking at all the inputs that go in there, and we're seeing we're off on our input. We need to make adjustments here. And we are surgical with it. We have conversations about, rather than just a number off, and it's just, well, why did the number off? Data comes in, and it's because of this. And we build a plan on how do we address this in the lead so that our lag can end up being where it needs to be.
Right.
It's changed. 2023, I told you, it was such a painful year. Without the data that I received, entrepreneurs at my size, small entrepreneurs, we basically build our companies off of gut feel. I mean, it's just that you get this intuition and this gut that you know something ain't right and you start making changes. Well, we had just went through a major acquisition. This data pinpointed to us. We had one particular lane and contract we were working on that went non-profitable. And it was one of our largest ones. And without that data, the first place you don't look is your largest contracts. Of course, that's a lot of money. You look at other things, but this data analytics allowed us to go to that contract, dissect it, and begin to negotiate and have conversations with the client around that particular contract. And without that, we'd have been searching all over the place, shooting this shotgun, but we were able to get surgical, deal with the real issue, and that's how we've been able to now boast some better numbers because of that data.
We have talked about the technology that has helped you thus far run a better business and a more profitable business. But let's look down the road, and I'm going to get you out of here on this. Let's look down the road. Technology coming fast and furious. It's not going to slow down. It's only going to pick up speed. Take a look into your crystal ball, and it's difficult to look into a crystal ball these days because who the heck knows where tech's going to go, right? But take a look into that crystal ball. What do you see 5 years from now, a decade from now?
I actually see a contraction in the transportation space. And I said it earlier, it's actually going to be good for some. Only the strong are going to survive.
Yeah.
Those that are embracing technology, those that are embracing using tech and AI to bring efficiency so they can bring better values to their clients. Those that are, even if it's autonomous vehicles, that's fine. They'll never take all of it.
Yeah.
But those that are able to get on board and see what piece of that they can use to provide a better value to the client, those are the ones that are going to survive. And it's not going to be a mass. It's only going to be a few that either have the capital, the capability to integrate some of this stuff, or even the will to integrate some of this stuff and build around it. And it's going to be fewer but stronger companies offering better value to the client.
Right.
That's what I see in our future, and we plan to be a part of.
Well, if the industry is contracting, as you say, and it will, because many industries are, my money's on you, man. Good stuff. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you, folks. That's an impressive guy right there. That's Carlo White. He is the president of WH Logistics Group.